All right, welcome. Today we're going to build the ultimate educator's toolkit. To do that, we're diving into the brilliant ideas of three absolute giants in educational psychology. I mean, that's the big one, isn't it? How does our mind actually learn? Whether you're a teacher, a parent, or, hey, just someone who loves learning new things, figuring out the how is what unlocks everything. It's the mystery we're digging into today.
And to help us solve it, we're looking at the work of these three masters. Each one gives us a totally unique and super powerful way of looking at the learning process. Basically, a different tool for our toolkit.
Okay, first tool out of the box comes from Lev Vygotsky. Think of his idea as the essential collaboration tool. Because for Vygotsky, learning is never a solo mission, it's a social thing.
So Vygotsky's killer concept is something called the Zone of Proximal Development, or ZPD. It's such a cool idea. Picture three rings. That little one in the middle, that's what a student can do all by themselves, no problem. The huge ring on the outside, that's the stuff they just can't do yet, no matter how much help they get. But that ring in between? That's the magic space. That's the ZPD. It's where a learner can totally succeed, but they need a little guidance from a teacher or even a friend who's a bit further along. It is the absolute sweet spot for learning.
So how do you actually use this? Well, first, you've got to figure out where each student's ZPD is. Then, you actually encourage them to talk themselves through problems. Vygotsky called this private speech. You give them plenty of help to get started, but then, and this is key, you slowly back off as they start to get it. And you make the instructions real. You know, something that matters, like following a recipe to bake cookies, not just abstract stuff. And finally, you get students to help each other out. It's all about learning together.
All right, our next tool comes from the one and only Jean Piaget. Now, if Vygotsky gave us the collaboration tool, Piaget gives us the timing tool. His big idea? We all learn differently at different ages, and how we teach has got to match where the student is at developmentally.
You see, Piaget's big aha moment was that kids don't just know less than adults. Their brains are wired in a fundamentally different way. He mapped out these 4 stages of how our thinking develops: the sensory motor stage for babies, pre-operational for toddlers, then concrete operational for kids, and finally, formal operational once we're teens and adults. Each stage is a huge leap in how we make sense of the world.
So let's talk about the pre-operational stage. Think kids from 2 to 7. At this age, their world is very literal, and it pretty much revolves around them. That means you've got to keep instructions short, sweet, and to the point. You can't just tell them how to do an exercise. You have to show them one clear step at a time.
Then they hit the concrete operational stage, from about 7 to 11, and suddenly their world gets bigger. They can think more logically, but it's still got to be tied to real physical stuff they can see and touch. This is your chance to bring their world into the lesson. You want to talk about a complicated idea? Tie it to their favorite TV show or video game. Make it relevant, and it'll click. And finally, around age 12, we get to the formal operational stage. Now learners can think about abstract concepts, big ideas. But even here, it really helps to build a bridge from the concrete world. Using a chart, a diagram, or even just talking about their own experiences can anchor those complex ideas before they start to fly.
And that brings us to our third and final thinker, Jerome Bruner. He gives us the empowerment tool. For Bruner, a student isn't some passive jar you just pour information into. Nope. The student is an active explorer, out there discovering and building their own understanding of the world.
One of Bruner's big ideas is the spiral curriculum. It works like this. You introduce a topic in a really simple way, and then you circle back to it later, and then again, but each time you add more complexity. It's just like math, right? You have to master addition and subtraction before you can use that knowledge to really get multiplication and division. It's all about building on what you already know.
Bruner was also a massive fan of discovery learning. This is where the teacher's role completely changes. You're not the lecturer at the front of the room anymore, you're the guide. Instead of just telling students what happens when 2 chemicals mix, you help them set up an experiment so they can see it for themselves, ask questions, and discover the why on their own.
And that leads right into scaffolding. Now, you might be thinking, hey, this sounds an awful lot like Vygotsky's idea. And you're right, it's similar, but there's a really key difference. Scaffolding is all about giving just enough support to help a student do something, and then bit by bit, you take that support away as they get better. It's the classic example of learning to ride a bike. First, a parent holds on, then they're just jogging alongside, and then they let go. The whole point is for the learner to become independent.
So let's just lock that difference in, nice and clear. Vygotsky's ZPD is all about what we can achieve through social collaboration. Working together is the key. Bruner's scaffolding is about using support to guide a student's own discovery so that eventually they can do it all by themselves. One is about succeeding together, the other is about learning how to succeed on your own.
So there we have it. 3 incredible thinkers, 3 game-changing ideas. Now let's put it all together and take a look at our finished Educator's Toolkit.
And here it is. From Vygotsky, we get the power of social assistance. Learning is better together. From Piaget, we get the wisdom of timing. Teach to the right stage of development. And from Bruner, we get the strategy of empowerment. Let learners be explorers. See, these ideas don't compete with each other. They're complementary tools you can use to build amazing, effective learning experiences.
So I'll leave you with this question. Which of these tools really speaks to you? Think about how you learn best. Is it with other people, at a pace that fits your stage in life, or by getting your hands dirty and discovering things for yourself?